Back in Syracuse as the Crunch gets set for the middle game of the weekend. Tonight, it's the Utica Comets. Crunch are playing a 3-in-3 weekend here for the second to last weekend of the regular season. Here on Countdown to Crunch Time, we're joined by Crunch assistant coach Jeff Halpern, presented by Supercuts. Jeff, last night the Crunch were in Binghamton, and it was a shootout loss for the Crunch, 4-3. What did you see in the game last night against the Devils?
I thought they played really well. I thought probably last few times we played against them, I thought especially a couple of their young guys had a lot of jump and push the pace, and so I thought their team played really well. I thought for us there's a lot of things that we would like to do differently and improve on, or at least throw away and start over. So I didn't think we were able to kind of put our identity as a team on the ice. We weren't pushing the pace. We weren't hard on pucks, and it showed in kind of the overall game. So there's a lot of things that we'd like to take away from that game, and there's a lot of things that we'd like to probably just throw away and improve on.
Yeah, the Crunch had a 2-0 lead after the first period, but like you said, it didn't feel like they were playing that fast style that we've seen from the Crunch this year. So how do you go about adjusting that here down the stretch to get back to the way the Crunch have been playing for mostly all year?
Well, when we practice, when we play, we kind of expect a certain pace or a certain amount of habits and work ethic, and so I think for our group, the players are very, very good at doing that over the course of a season. So you'd like to think it was a slip up. I give those guys a lot of credit for the way they approach every day and every game, and so kind of just falling back to that plan and that method of practicing and training, then I would expect those guys to come out in that way.
And last night we saw the pro debut and the first goal for defenseman Cal Foote. He got it on the first shot of the game for the Crunch. What did you see from Cal Foote in his pro debut last night?
I thought he was great. I think it's a great league, and it's for guys stepping up from juniors or college at a young age. You're stepping into a man's league, and I thought he looked completely in place in those situations. I thought size-wise, the way he was moving the puck, what he was able to do, I thought he looked really good. And we have a couple of weeks here before the playoffs start for him to kind of get a feel for that and maybe even catch up to this level, but I don't think it's going to take him very long. I think he showed a lot in that first game that were great signs.
And he's the 8th player for the Crunch this season to score his first career AHL goal. Really impressive stuff all year for the Crunch. And he got some time on the power play as well last night. Obviously an offensive defenseman who can shoot the puck and move the puck quickly. What did you see from him as he got his first cracks on the power play last night?
Well, I mean, he didn't get a look on the first one. Just the other group had scored by the time he got out, and then the next two, the amount of time they spent in the zone was minimal, and so we would have liked to see more from a chance for him to be in zone and the way he plays and moves on the blue line and distributes. But last night as a group, it was the issue of getting in the zone. So we'll see more tonight and continue to watch that and be excited about it.
Another youngster for the Crunch, and he's just 18 years old, is forward Alexei Lipanov, who's now been here for a couple of weeks. Hit a crossbar yesterday, so close to his first goal. What have you seen from him? He's got a couple of points for the Crunch, but what have you seen from him here so far?
Well, I thought last night was probably his best game, and even if the team as a group, it wasn't something that we would consider one of our best games. I thought for Lipper it was one of his best games. I thought he was more confident with the puck and was able to kind of show some of his offensive side as opposed to watching everything go around him and trying to figure out how to get in those spots. So it was a great step. It's only his second week here, and so it was. I thought it was a good game for him.
Crunch are taking on the Utica Comets here tonight. It's the 11th matchup of the season between the Crunch and the Comets this year, and it's obviously a familiar matchup for Syracuse as we head into the stretch run. Only 5 games to go in the regular season: 2 against the Comets, 2 against the Amherst. Potential playoff preview here tonight. And does that play into the minds of anyone here heading down the stretch, looking to get that game going again against a team you could be seeing in the playoffs?
Yeah, well, we've had really good games against them all year, and kind of spirited games, very physical, and and every game seemed like it mattered a lot in the standings at that point, and so it's no different, I guess, as far as positioning going into the playoffs. And you always want to be able to do things in the regular season that can carry over in the playoffs. And for us against Utica, it's been that back and forth all year. So we treat this game and next week's game against them as kind of a continuation of that, and a continuation of things we want to do in the regular season moving on into the playoffs.
And the Crunch today getting a player back up from the Adirondack Thunder and forward Troy Burke, and he was here to begin this season through training camp, played one game with the Crunch, and he's been down with the Thunder for pretty much all year, battling injuries there in Adirondack. In the lineup tonight, what can we expect to see from Troy Burke?
Well, we're excited to get him in. I think earlier in the year there was a lot of times where he would have been with us, but was battling injuries at that time. So we're actually excited to be able to get to see him here, and we've followed him a bit since he's been back. He's been doing really well, and for us sometimes just bodies is a big thing, and to get him in the lineup, we're excited for it.
Looking forward to tonight as the Crunch take on the Utica Comets. It's the 11th of 12 matches between the teams this year. This is Crunch assistant coach Jeff Halpern, presented by Supercuts. Jeff, thanks for your time and good luck tonight.
Thanks.